Do I really need to log this? This is John Young with the Disc Jockey News, Disc Jockey News TV. Today we're going to be doing, for our Tuesday tip, talking a little bit about your automobile log or your business vehicle log, depending upon what you're doing with your business. A lot of us are running a small business where we're going to be deducting a lot of the expenses of our business, and we'll have a vehicle. Sometimes it's a truck, sometimes it's a car, sometimes we'll be using both for business purposes. And the IRS has some things that they want you to keep track of when you're using vehicles for business. And this is going to give you a couple of ideas. This isn't tax advice, so if you are really interested in doing this and being able to write off your vehicle trips and such, you need to go and talk to someone, either your accountant or do some research on the IRS yourself. But this will give you an idea and such, a kind of a starting point. There's two ways in which you can deal with a vehicle that you're using for a business. And again, you could be using this vehicle for other purposes also, not just for your business, multiple businesses or personal and business. But there's two different things. You can either do the standard deduction for the mileage, which is generally, right now, I think it's around 56, 57 cents a mile for business travel. Then you also have the other, where it's actual expenses, where it's repairs and all these different things added together. Now, the actual expenses, you have to keep track of everything. You'd be your gas and your oil changes, any repairs, any kind of maintenance that you'd be doing on a vehicle, and then that becomes prorated on the amount of your usage. So if you're using it, say, 50% of the time for personal use and 50% for business use, those things become prorated, and it gets to be kind of a sloppy, messy thing. The actual expenses work the best when you're talking about a vehicle that's used almost 100% exclusively for business. It's a little tougher when it comes to personal. The standard mileage deduction works probably maybe 80% of the time for most people when it comes to vehicles that can be used for personal and business, or vehicles that aren't the big trucks that you'd use for business. Standard miles deductions, what you need to do is you need to have a log of your trips with that. That's the most important part in the eyes of the IRS, is that travel log, that mileage log. And what you need to do is you really would want to have, I don't use this one for business, but you would have like a little notebook or something up here, but you'd want to have a logbook close. And what you'll do is you basically just note the mileage on your trips of what you're going to do. So if I'm going to be, say if I'm headed out right now, which I am here in a couple of minutes, I would go and I'd look and see what the odometer's at, and I'd write that as a beginning point. Now I'm going to be taking a trip. Now I need to put some things on this entry in order to make it something that's going to be usable with the IRS. I need to basically designate if it's a personal trip or a business trip. And if it's a business trip, the date of it, obviously, and I need the miles at the beginning and the miles at the end, so I know how many miles were traveled. Then I also need to know who I was going to speak with, or what I was going to do on this business trip. Am I going to go buy some new speakers on this business trip? Or am I just going down to my local shop to go and research speakers, both of which are business trips, and they work well. Do I need to go buy some supplies for my business? That's legit. And that ties into the who you're to speak to, the purpose of the trip. You need to have that information there. So kind of, we got the date, we'll need the mileage, and the why and who, if there's a why and who. That's what you need to have. And then at the end of the year, you don't really have to worry about all those personal miles. They're there as a proof to the IRS that you were using the vehicle for personal use and for business use. Now, that's not as important, the personal, but it's nice from their eyes that you're going to have an accurate log, because, let's face it, if you were audited and they went through and they saw your log and they could go through and it said there was 27,000 miles on this vehicle, and if they could come to the vehicle and see that there was 27,000 miles, you think that wouldn't give them an excited moment? Oh yeah, it would. But personal miles, not as important, but you take those miles for your business, then you can take that and apply that standard miles, that mile rate that is 56.5 cents or whatever it is right now. You could do that you would do that at the end of the year on your taxes and get that money basically deducted from your income or from your business income, so you'd then be coming out ahead on that. So anyway, the log is the most important part. Be sure you do it. Be sure you do it right, and keep up with it. Don't all of a sudden get to a point where you get the note from the IRS that says, "Hey, you're being audited because your business expenses look weird," and then you have to create a business log. Keep it up to date with every business trip you do, and you'll be a much happier person. If this is your first time watching one of our Tuesday tips, thank you for watching. First off, you can go and you can click that link that's just down below us. I'll actually put it right up here too. That'll allow you to subscribe to our channel, but the link down below will be to all of the Tuesday tips videos. That's the playlist down below. Go check those out. There's a lot of great information there. We do a tip every Tuesday night for you guys to check out. So hopefully this helped you a little bit. If there's some things you do with your log that's, maybe you're using some different software things, I'd love to hear what you're using, because this is something a lot of us need to do on a regular basis. And let's face it, paper and pencil is kind of getting old. So let us know in the comment section down below what you use to keep track of your vehicle log for those business miles. This is John Young with the Disc Jockey News and Disc Jockey News TV with our Tuesday tip of the week.
If I were you, I'd hit the subscribe button before I hit the video. But don't mess things up. Wanna know why? Because I'm Batman.